Hey everyone, welcome to a bonus episode of TGF TV, that stands for Teachers of God Foundation. I am Lisa Natoli, and I am super excited to have as my guest today, Christina Courtney. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here.
So this is a bonus TGF TV. This is a weekly show that normally airs on Friday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And Christina and I did a show this past Friday, and it was off the charts. It was so good. And the chat board was just lit up like a party. I mean, there was ahas, there was realizations, there was breakthroughs. I mean, it was amazing. And I was so happy for what I was experiencing. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so happy this is being recorded. And when we finished, I bounced down the stairs and said to my husband, Bill, oh my God, I was high-fiving him. That was the best show ever. And he goes, it wasn't recorded. And I thought he was kidding. And he said, no, I'm not kidding. It really wasn't recorded. So it was, what's interesting to me about today's topic that Christina is going to take us through is this idea of alignment and recognizing the resistances and the blocks in you and letting them go. And so that was a very good demonstration for me of this moment of shock. Like, what? No recording? Are you serious? And I said it just like, are you kidding me? And Bill said, no, I'm not kidding you. There's no recording. And there was this moment of like, you know, it's that confusion that we feel when something is happening that we don't want to be happening. We want things to be another way. And what's great about really having practices to align yourself back to joy, back to peace. I literally stayed in that state of conflict for like a minute. And immediately there was just like, okay, what are we going to do? What can we do? And Bill and I were brainstorming, and we came up with, let's ask Christina if she can come back on. And her joy was just like off the charts to come back on. She said, what a blessing in disguise. I'm so excited I get to talk about healing with you again. So we're back again, and I want to really jump right into it. So I want to welcome everyone here on the board. I'd love for you to put your name and where you're from so we can see who's in the room. Lucky us. I know, lucky us. Thank you so much, Sandra. And yeah, this is just really a good opportunity for everyone to see what's been lurking in the background of your thinking mind. And a lot of stuff that came up on Friday, a lot of stuff from childhood, just things of unworthiness, not good enough, fearful. Christina's going to take us through all of that today. So Christina has a website. She's an alignment coach. She's a teacher of A Course in Miracles, and I call her a real life super healer. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to be going through today, and you can get a copy of this on Christina's website. I posted it on my website. We'll post it in the chat board also, so you can download it and print it. You don't need to do that right now. She's going to walk us through the whole thing, but her website is ChristinaBCourtney.com. And if you need to get quickly to my website to find out where the link is, I posted it on my website, lisanatoli.com. So, and it will also be in the chat. So I am just going to quickly say a few things about Christina. Another thing that's on my website, I did a interview with Christina at the end of March 2020. I met Christina online a few years ago, and then she came to a retreat that I offered in New York City last October for the healing cure. So I got a chance to spend a lot of time with Christina in person, and she is a true healer. And what true healing is to me is to not try to heal the body. we're healing the source of what's causing body symptoms or problems or difficulties. So we're going to what's in the mind. Like, where are the blocks? That's true healing. And I'm just going to read a little bit from these questions that she answered. And again, you can find this on my website. She answered a bunch of questions. What made you so passionate about healing? What did those illnesses teach you? What would you say to someone who is trying to heal? How do you help people heal now? What does healing mean to you? And do you have any miracles you'd like to share? So I'm just going to read a little bit here because it's so good. It's Christina Courtney's healing story in her own words. And she writes, it all started when I was 17 and I was diagnosed with a life-threatening blood disease that if untreated, I would have only 6 weeks to live. This illness taught me so much about life and healing, and really was the launching point for me delving into a wide variety of healing modalities, all in search of an answer. There was a part of me deep down that always knew that we could all heal from anything, but my doctors never shared this perspective. So I remembered often thinking to myself, there must be a better way, and that's when it all started. When my physical symptoms were treated with modern medicine, I did see some improvements. However, there was a ton of side effects, and it seemed that whenever they treated one thing, they found something else wrong, and it was a constant cycle. I was on medications for the illnesses and then other medications to treat the side effects from those medications. I mean, who can relate, right? I did what I felt I needed to do in the moment to survive, but once I realized the doctors could never actually cure me, and there was so much more going on than the physical symptoms, I turned to spirituality. I came to learn the meaning behind my illness. I love this, and that I had become identified as a sick person. I knew I needed to change the way I was looking at myself if I was going to heal. I took class after class and racked up an impressive list of certifications. I became certified in a dozen different methods. I was determined to understand what was going on in the body and to experience true healing. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because I really want to get right into Christina sharing and to go through this alignment formula. But I just do want to say this part because I love it. So she was still wanting to get to the root. I was identified with my false self. So the false self is the body identity self that has a name, Christina, that has sickness, and trying to quote unquote fix what I thought was wrong with the physical body. Although I was seeing progress, I still hadn't reached complete healing. After a relapse in 2014 that forced me out of corporate America, I finally realized that the healing needed to take place in my mind. I needed to shift my focus to identifying with my truth and stop resisting what I was experiencing. Everything changed. Things started to flow. By following the principles in A Course in Miracles, I finally engaged with true healing and the symptoms started disappearing. My blood count stabilized. I got off medications. I stopped focusing on fixing the problem and focused on the light that I am and extending that light. And so that's, what did those illnesses teach you? How to love myself and others and how to join. And what she does in her work as a alignment coach is she works with clients to help get them aligned back to remembering the truth of what they are. So it is my absolute honor to welcome you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I am so excited that we get to do this again because this is my all-time favorite thing. And thank you so much for sharing a bit of my story. Yeah. So for me, this has really been a journey of transitioning from the identity of the body and the fear-based mentality that most of us are conditioned into, and transitioning over to being in the paradigm of love. So if you're familiar with A Course in Miracles, which I think most people are that are in this group, you're probably familiar with the idea that our thoughts are creating our reality. They're a projection, right? If you're new to this, which I know I'm noticing some people, some of the names that I'm seeing who might be new to this, I just want you to just play with that idea for today, that maybe our thoughts are creating our reality, and just sit with that and see how it feels. So yeah, this was a journey for me of being sick multiple times throughout my life. And every time I seeked healing, it was like it was never there for me in the physical realm. And so like Lisa was talking about, I really delve inward and delve through my own spiritual journey, and was able to find true healing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So is there anything else you want me to share about my story, or should we go into it, Lisa?
Well, I think just from what I saw last Friday, I think we should just jump into it, because you while you were taking us through this alignment formula, we ended up talking about your story and my story, and I really was loving what we were seeing on the board. So what I want to ask everyone to do right now, take a deep breath. And I want you to really take to heart what Christina just offered, is to keep an open mind, to really be present here for the next hour that we're together, and to allow this to be a new beginning for you. I mean, this really can be a life-changing 1 hour for you if you let it, because this is really where you begin to see what's going on in your mind, where you're blocking, what's holding you back. And once you see the resistances, that's when the energy and the love and the peace and the joy naturally begin to flow. It's these resistances that are blocking all the light. So I ask for you to have a pen and a piece of paper, if you can. I've got my pen always ready, and paper. And she's going to take us through a bunch of questions. I'm going to give it completely over to her. And while you're being taken through this, please feel comfortable and free to post in the comment section also, because there was just so much that came up last Friday. So I'm excited for this. And at first it might feel like a manifestation with the first couple of questions. Stay with it. This is such a good formula in these questions, because they will guide you so perfectly to what's blocking. So I'm just going to give it right over to you, the alignment formula from Christina Courtney.
Yes. So this is built on the premise that we are all the light of the world, that we are all aspects of source, having this experience in physical form. So that's our natural state of being. Our natural state of being is actually health and abundance and joy and happiness every single day, every single second. So that is what we are supposed to be experiencing. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not experiencing that. And so what this formula does is we are going to tune into a specific area that you would like to be experiencing those aspects of your true authentic self. And then we're going to go through some questions to identify what's blocking that. Because if we're not experiencing that, it's just our resistance to that based on things that we were taught as children, the world that we've been conditioned into, which is totally fine. We're going to go through that, forgive it, release it, and work with it. So the first part is the A. So we're going to set what we want to align with. So what is it? I would like everybody to grab their piece of paper and write down, what is it that you're looking to align with? Is that you want a flourishing romantic relationship that just lights you up? Is it that you want physical healing, that you want to be vibrant and alive in your body? Maybe you want some more money. Maybe you want abundance in your life. So tuning into, what is it that I'm not experiencing right now, but I would like to experience, that's of the true self? So what do you want? So go ahead, if you've got something in mind, go ahead and type it into the chat so I can get an idea of what we're going to work on connecting with today. Peace. I love it. Okay. So people are wanting freedom, peace, joy, relationship. So if you're wanting peace or joy, just for the purpose of this exercise, let's think of something specific. Like, what would it look like if you had peace? Is it that you would wake up every morning and, you know, be joyful about the day? What is it specifically that you're looking for? Physical healing, abundance, vibrancy in life, happiness every day. Okay. Closer relationship with God. These are all amazing goals. You guys are awesome. Physical healing, cancer-free body, fulfillment in work. That's good. I like to work, it's really awesome to have general broad goals of peace every day, but I notice when we tune into that, it can sometimes be harder to identify the specific resistance because it's so general, and then things can kind of hide from us. So when I see people say things like fulfillment in their work, or you know, to be in a healthy relationship, something like that, when it gets a little bit more specific, we're able to identify the specific points of resistance. Yep, okay. Awesome. Freedom from codependency with my granddaughter. I love that. See, those types of things will really get to look at what are the specific areas. Okay, awesome. So now that you have what you want, you've tuned into what you're wanting to align with, we're going to go ahead and start looking at why that is not happening right now. And so we're going to go through a process of identifying what resistance is blocking you from experiencing that. So with your piece of paper, I'm going to have you just draw a line down the middle, and we're going to identify on the left side of our paper all of our different resistances. So we'll go ahead and start going. I love this. You guys are so awesome. Abundant finances. Yeah.
I love this too. And like, I'm so happy, Christina, that you said about making it specific, because I know I've been on a spiritual journey for 30 years now, and a lot of the things that I would say publicly were very, you know, a good spiritual student. You know, I want peace, I want joy, I want love. But in the privacy of my own heart and mind, I wanted money. I wanted to pay off my debt. I wanted to not work 9 to 5. I wanted to be free. I wanted to have vibrant health. I wanted to be super fit. And, you know, so, and those were the kinds of things and when I started to say, that's what I want, and that's what you're going to take us through here, is were all the resistances. That's what the healing is all about, is finding out, why don't I have those things? Why do I have credit card debt? Why don't I have any money?
Perfect. Yeah. So just let yourself really think of what you actually really want tangibly. That's perfect. Okay, so the first question that we're going to ask on the alignment formula, the first question right here, is why do I not want this? So a lot of you are going to be like, well, of course I want this. There's no reason that I don't want this, but I really want you to sit with this. So for example, if you're wanting a love relationship, say you want to be in a harmonious partnership with someone else, you may not want this because you think that you're going to have to give up your free time, or maybe you've been hurt in the past and you don't want to be hurt again. So there's some underlying sneaky beliefs that are running this show here, preventing you from aligning with what we want. And we want to really just give ourselves the freedom to get in touch with that. Looking at the comments here. Fear of rejection, that's a perfect one. Okay, so we're writing down those different fears. So why would you not want it? So there's a perception that there's going to be a lack of freedom, or a loss of freedom, that you're going to be judged for your creativity. So these are all things that are going to block us from aligning with what we want. So this is so awesome that you guys are getting in touch with it. So fear of failure, fear that you're not good enough, lack of attention, I could get too busy to turn to God. Interesting. Yeah, this
I
is
love I love the credit card one too. I don't want to pay them back because I resent the credit card companies. And I felt the same way. Like when I had all that credit card debt, I I was so angry when I decided to pay it back because I was like, screw them. Like they have been charging me all these fees all these years, and yeah, I was so angry. So to be able to see all that mind activity,
mm-hmm.
judgment of my creativity, I don't want to quit smoking. Let's see, fear
Oh,
of
this is a good
leaving.
one. If I had more energy, I'd have to do even more for others. I'd have to be around more people and would have less time for myself. That's one that that held me back for a while, is because if we don't have good boundaries with people, if we don't feel like we can speak up for ourselves, that we can have our needs met, and we don't have a belief system that everyone's needs are met and it doesn't all have to come from us. That was one of mine, is I had like a source complex where I thought that I was the one responsible for taking care of everybody else. And so when I asked myself these questions and that came up for me, I was able to recognize this resistance. Oh my gosh, I'm believing that I'm the source for other people. And so I had to heal that belief and that thought and recognize that everyone has a connection to their own source. And if I'm not feeling called to show up in that way, it's not my job to show up in that way. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. So that is so perfect.
I like this one with the smoking. I don't want to quit smoking because I love smoking. That's the kind of honesty that comes. Like that's where you get release. Like when I was sick with physical symptoms for years, thinking I was dying, when I actually asked this question, like, why don't I want vibrant health? It's because that would require me to be visible. It would require me to show up. It would require me to work. Then maybe I would be criticized. So sickness for me was actually my comfort safety zone. Everyone left me alone. I got to just spend the day the way I wanted to spend it. And when finally I was like, oh, no wonder I'm not healing. Like I'm getting what I actually want, which
Yes,
is to stay small and safe.
absolutely. Yeah. I had a similar belief. When I was little growing up, my dad used to tell me, "You're God. You can have anything you want, but don't tell the other kids at school because they'll think that you're crazy." So it was like this twofold thing where he was actually helping to teach me who I really am and that I could have anything, be anything, which was so awesome. But then he was also teaching me, but don't tell other people. And so I've had this fear for a long time, like don't be public, don't go talk to lots of people, don't go, speak from the rooftops because people are gonna, think that you're crazy, you're gonna be ostracized, you won't be safe. So yeah, it's really important to look at these things.
And that's
And these
why I
are,
like that you're all posting on the board too, because that was my healing also, is when I took it public.
yeah.
When I actually I stood in front of the Friday morning group, this was years ago, and I had been trying to hide that I was sick. And everybody could tell. If you look at any of the past videos from years ago, I mean, it was evident. But I thought, no, nobody notices. And I just stood up in front of everybody and I said, here's what's been going on with me. And it was like this total freedom. It was this total release where I didn't have to be that person anymore that was hiding. And that's why, I love all these comments so much. Okay, so carry on. So that was the first one. Why do I not want this?
Mm-hmm. And then the next one is, why is this not safe for me? So why is it not safe to have what you want? So maybe it's if I make a lot of money, maybe then I could lose all of the money. Or maybe my family members are going to start asking me for money and I don't have boundaries around them. And I'm going to have to say yes. And I'm going to have to do things that I don't want to do. Or I'm going to wind up supporting other people. Awesome. You guys are doing great. Yeah, so the more and more we identify these different reasons that are kind of like hiding underneath, they're like little dust bunnies hiding underneath the rug, right? And we finally shine a light on them, then we can have healing from them and we can work our way towards peace and joy and healing. So this is so awesome that you guys are being brave and looking at these different things.
Yeah,
Yep.
for me too, like the thing for me, like why it was not safe. So I had a history from when I was a child that I was my exuberant, joyful, playful, enthusiastic self, I got called teacher's pet, selfish, show off, criticized, bullied. I was all of those things. And so I learned just better to stay quiet, better to not be that way. And then, of course, when you come into a spiritual community, then the language changes, and then you start being called an ego. Like, I want to be big and bright and my expressive, authentic self, and have lots of money because that would be fun, and to just do the things that I would love to do. And then people, I mean, I started getting emails from people saying, you're a fake, you're a fraud, you're an ego, that's worldly, you know. So it wasn't safe for me to want these things.
Yeah. I saw somebody in the comments ask a question. They said, can the answer to number 1 and 2 be the same thing? And yes, it can. So everybody's going to have a slightly different experience with this depending on what you're looking to align with. So some people will have something for every single one of these questions. There will be a block. Sometimes they'll be all different things. Sometimes it'll all be the same thing. Maybe there's just really like one belief that's really holding you back, and you have different angles of it that's showing up in all of these questions. Sometimes it's a minor thing that you're looking to align with, and maybe only 1 or 2 of the questions will apply. But usually when you're looking towards aligning with something that you've been struggling with for a while, if you've really been doing the work, really trying to see yourself in the truth of who you are, and it's just not happening, chances are there's some big beliefs underneath the surface that are going to apply to several of these questions.
Okay, so that was 2. So that was, why is this not safe for me? So the next question.
Okay, so what would I have to become that I'm not ready for to have this? So who would you have to be? If you were to just kind of imagine, okay, you have this thing that you want, you're going to become somebody else. And what am I not ready for about that? What would I have to become that I'm not ready for to have this? So this can be, these are all kind of, we're kind of asking the same question just in different ways, because they kind of approach it from different angles to really look at what are those thoughts underneath the surface. So maybe you would have to become, if you wanted to say be a well-known speaker or healer, right? You may have to become someone that's comfortable in front of camera, and you're like, I am not ready for that. Or I'm going to have to become somebody that maybe travels, and I actually don't want to do that. So what is it that you would have to become in order to align with this? Maybe you have a belief that you want to be in a relationship, but in order to be in a relationship, you have to lose weight, and you don't want to lose weight. So then you actually get to recognize, oh, hey, that's the belief playing underneath the surface. And so I'm actually going to make the decision that I'm lovable exactly as I am right now. And we wouldn't have known that we needed to make that decision if we hadn't uncovered what this block is.
Bill just handed me something. We got a party going on Facebook. I love you guys. I see all the Facebook comments also.
Awesome. Oh, this is so great. Somebody says, I'm going to have to give up being angry and judgmental, attacking and defensive.
That is just it. I'd have to give up depression. I'd have to give up sickness. I'd have to give up my story. I'd have to give up excuses. I'd have to give up complaining.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for community. Like, I'm grateful I have Bill, you know, who's always holding the high mark while I was going through all the sickness. Because, I mean, I was in a lot of pain. I mean, and there was just physical stuff happening all the time. So I thought I had a real valid reason for telling a story about it. You know, I was going blind for a little while, and I was scared about that. So I would say to Bill, I can't see, I can't, my eyes hurt, I know, and then I couldn't talk for a while. Like, it was just like this, my throat was all messed up. And Bill would just, he would be right there like, Lisa. And I'm so grateful, because I had to give up the story of being a sick person, of being a victim, of being somebody who was constantly feeling like life had dealt me the wrong, hand of cards. And it's just like, oh, that's what I'd have to give up, my story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. I think that a lot of people are connecting with each other through the chat. I see somebody mentioning something, and then other people are like, yeah, me too, kind of a thing. So that is so awesome. Yeah, somebody said they would have to give up being lazy and sitting on the couch and watching TV, right? And sometimes that's an indicator that if that's what we're really wanting is to sit on the couch and watch TV, where are we not giving ourselves a break? I see some people that just are not able to give themselves permission to have downtime, to relax. And so what happens if they're not giving themselves permission to get their needs met, then they wind up, getting sick, and then they have an excuse. But if we actually were able to just let ourselves know, like, okay, it's okay to watch TV. It's okay to veg out and not do something sometimes.
I like what Roxanne said. She said, I'd have to give up the belief that wealthy people are shallow and selfish. I had to give that one up too, because I really thought having money was a sign of being super worldly and not spiritual. And I love these comments so much. I would have to give up. I'd have to come out of my shell and step into my power and believe in myself, Linda says.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the, so you'd have to become totally different. Like you'd actually have to start having different communication with your friends and your family. And people might not like that, when you become different and step back into your expressive, authentic, powerful self.
Yeah. I saw somebody say they would have to give up being the victim.
Yeah.
And that is huge. Yeah, a lot of people have that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one, but keep processing. If you guys want to leave space and go back and continue to write them down, so if you're in the flow of something, just keep writing them down. It's really good to just get this stuff on paper so that we're aware of it. Okay, so the next one is, who am I afraid of losing? So say you want to be more positive, but all of your coworkers at work, have a tendency to complain. And that's how you connect, is through complaining about things together. And if you were more positive, you would maybe give up those friendships, because you would have to give up that way of engaging with them. So what is it that you are afraid of losing? Is it people? Is it resources? Experiences?
I like lures myself. And that's such a good one. I'm afraid of losing myself. Like who would I be, without the image that I've created?
Yeah.
And for me, this was a huge part of my healing, because I was always a people pleaser. I was always somebody that was super popular all through grade school, all through high school, all through college. My entire life, I always had this ability to make people feel great. And when I finally said, okay, wow, I'm not going to do that anymore. I had not a lot, but I had people like call me and tell me you're a terrible friend. And I had people tell me I'm a terrible teacher. So that was the thing. It's like to be okay with the things that people say, like to really say, oh, wow, okay, yeah. I'm taking more time for myself now, which means I'm not available the way I used to be for everyone. And that, was just something that I had to become comfortable with. I love all these things of time and husband, my strength, my safety net. I love that. You're going to lose that. Time, taking care of people, my husband. Let's see here. Finances, don't know how I would generate income. I would have to confront, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. Some friends, let's see what's going on Facebook. My past stories, got to give those up.
Yes.
You would lose those.
Yeah, I find that time for myself is a big one that people struggle with when they're looking to step into like a new career that's really fulfilling. Like if they're going to delve into, say, a coaching practice or some sort of holistic practice on their own, they're like, oh, I'm going to have to give up so much time. I'm going to have to do interviews. I'm going to have to post online. I'm going to have to do all these things. And so we want to even keep asking questions underneath that. Like, so, okay, if I'm believing that I'm going to need to give up time, why am I believing that there are these certain expectations that in order to do X, Y, and Z, you have to do all these different things. And I noticed that was one that came up for me, is like, okay, if I'm going to do what I really want to do, I'm going to have to give up my free time. I'm going to have to be, posting on social media. I'm going to have to, all these different expectations. And once I recognized that that's what was going on, I had the opportunity to shift the way that I was looking at and recognize that I get to do a business that I love and God wants me to be happy. I'm supposed to be in joy about this. I'm not supposed to be overextended. So whatever it is that feels right to me is what I get to do. So just really coming back to that awareness that we are meant to do what we want to be doing. So
I'm so happy, Christina, that you brought that up, because like there's a comment here on Facebook. Justina says, I would have to always be happy. And that was a big one for me, because I thought, well, I am supposed to be at peace all the time, and I'm supposed to be happy all the time. And but see, that was part of the story, that was part of my resistance. Like, I'm not happy all the time. There's a joy that just never goes away, but I don't have to maintain this consistent state of happiness. Like it's more like I get to be myself. I get to be like a child. Like a child is just playful and explosive, and then has a moment of like crying because they're sad and they hurt themselves, and then they get back up, and they're like a child doesn't hang on to a certain state that has to be this way always. There's always this movement, and that's what I wanted.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so that one was, who am I afraid of losing? Okay, next one.
So the next one is, do I believe that I can have this? So do you believe that this is something that you can have? So oftentimes I'll see people with a belief that like, oh, well, I was told as a kid that wealth is for the other people, right? Like that's for the people on the other side of the tracks, but that's not something that I get to experience. Or maybe they had a traumatic experience in relationship and they make some sort of subconscious decision that they're not worthy of having authentic, true, unconditional love in partnership. So do I believe that I can have this? I see some yeses, that's great. But I also see some no's, I'm not worthy. Yes, but I have to get out of my own way. Yeah, so basically, it's whatever you're saying that you want to align with. Do you believe that you can have that? So we have to get to this point where we're actually believing that this is us, right? Like it's that point of true healing where, say, we want to have a lot of money, like believing, of course that's possible for me. I'm abundant and infinite. Like I am a child of God. Like I have this divine inheritance, right? So really getting in touch with the truth of who you are. So do you believe that this is possible?
And what I like about this question so much is, and I'm only going to always speak from my own experience, is that as a Course in Miracles student and teacher, I always was using Course in Miracles sentences that were like positive affirmations, and those never work. So this actually brought me back into my power, because I used to just say, oh, I'm not a body, I'm not sick. Oh, I have vibrant health, when I didn't. Or I'm abundant, I have lots of money. But I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, not even a dime for years. I had massive credit card debt, and I was saying, I'm abundant, I'm rich, I'm a child of God, I have no needs. So it was all this like surface stuff where I never actually went down in and said, I would like to pay my credit card debt. Do I believe that's possible? And I like the honesty that's coming through on the board. I don't know. That's more honest than saying yes if you don't really think so. And I didn't know. when I had all that credit card debt, I was working as a Zumba instructor, bringing in about $25 to $50 a week from a donation box. And I don't, how am I going to pay? How? But it was this moment of like, yes, yes, I actually believe I could pay it off. And that was the beginning. It's, I don't have any credit. I don't have no debt. Because that became like, and then for a while I was like, oh, the debt's an illusion. Like a lot of spiritual people do that. Like, oh, it's an illusion. Money's an illusion. But this requires like a whole new level of honesty to just say, yes, I actually believe I could do work I love. And then, you know, when looking at like some of the comments say, I don't believe I can, I'm too old, not worthy. That comes up a lot. I do now. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that point that you just made about really being authentic with what you're actually believing. And that's a requirement for this exercise to work, right? Because if we do if we answer it the way that we think that we should be answering it, right, based on what we know from spiritual principles, then we're gonna miss the goodness. We're gonna miss the identifying these different areas that is what we actually believe. And it turns into kind of like a spiritual bypass situation where we're just kind of putting a band-aid on it, but we actually don't believe it. So we have to look at what are we actually believing, what's actually going on. Yeah, you guys are so awesome. You're doing such a great job.
I want to do a quick commercial break in here too, because Christina, I'm so excited because of what happened on Friday and what we saw with Christina's teaching. She has been invited to be one of the presenters in the presenter series next year. So the presenter series is actually put on by the Teachers of God Foundation, and it's a private community. TGF TV is part of it. TGF TV is every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. There's a Facebook group. And there's also something called the Presenter Series. So the Teachers of God Foundation, of which I am a co-founder with my husband, Bill Free, was started back in 2012. And we just had this vision that we'd have a community and that it would be a place to encourage and inspire individuals to take this journey. And then we would all support each other. And so the Presenter Series is all these just different individuals who normally take a whole month, 4 weeks, and present brand new, never been seen content before. So David Fishman is in there right now. I'm next month. It's going to be 30 days of super abundance starting in August. Maria Felipe is the month after that in September. And Christina Courtney will be next year. She's also been invited to be one of the presenters in an online conference that's being put on in September 18th, that weekend, by Pure Presence Productions. So this is where the excitement comes for me, and why I love having you on as a guest, Christina, is I'm always on the hunt for people who maybe are not that well known, because I have the privilege of being behind the scenes. Like I see, like when I look at all these comments, like I see the strength and the power in each and every one of you to inspire those around you, to be a light in this world, and to drop the story and to say, okay, it's time. And that's where like more and more of us are, and I'm always like saying, okay, I want you to come on because I want people to see you. And Christina and I were talking just before the call started. I get nervous before every single call. And we were on 15 minutes beforehand before we pushed the record button. And Christina said, me too. And then we both said, but we remember it's not about us. And we're here just to get out of the way. and that's like, that's an amazing thing to be able to do that. So I just so grateful, Christina, for all the work that you are bringing to this world.
Oh, thank you so much. It's truly an honor and a pleasure. I feel like this is me living my dream and aligning with what I'm wanting. So thank you so much for making that possible. And you all that are watching this is so incredible. I just commend you all for having the courage to look at these things, to do the work, to write them down. And it's just amazing to see what you guys are doing. This is incredible. Okay, so the next question is, do I trust that I can have this? So as you may have noticed by now, these questions are very similar, but they're kind of approaching it from different angles, because depending on what words we use, it might trigger things for different people. So do you trust that you can have this? So maybe you kind of, maybe you believe that it's possible for people to be in holy relationship, to have an amazing partner or a husband or whatnot, but for some reason you just don't trust that you can have it. So why are you believing, or why are you not trusting that you can have this? What's going on underneath the surface? Okay, I see some people saying, yes, I trust this. Yep.
I want to say too, I just saw a good Facebook one. It says, yes, I do, but a lot of resistance is coming out. And that's actually, I wanted to just go back to the formula. And again, you can download this for free, ChristinaBCourtney.com, or you can find it on my website. We're under resistance right now. So on this formula, it's alignment equals negative resistance plus energy emotion. So this is exactly what this work is designed to do. And that's why it's so brilliant. It's designed to bring up the resistances that were there all along anyways. And now you're seeing them. And that it can be uncomfortable. Like when those resistances come up, when you actually see, oh my God, I could never do what I want to do. I could never have what I want to have. I'm so unworthy. No one wants to hear me. I'm too old. I'm too sick. Those are the resistances. And that's exactly what you want to see. You want to bring those things up.
Exactly. Yes. Somebody said, I don't trust that I will follow through. So there's a lot of different variations of this where we're putting our trust in our own ability to do X, Y, and Z. And what we want to do is start to shift to that idea that it's not us that has to do all of these things. The light will work through us. It's actually our natural state of being is to be happy, fulfilled, abundant. So that is so perfect that some of those things are starting to come up for people. I don't trust others. Okay. Yeah. So why are we not trusting others? Is there something that happened that you created a belief that people are not trustworthy? And there may have been, an experience in your life where you couldn't trust people.
Yeah, I like the one about I don't trust myself. And that's so good because it's like now we can just get out of the way. It's like, okay. There's something else that can come through.
Mm-hmm.
The question of where to get this is, I posted it on lisanatoli.com, and it's also on Christina's website.
Okay, so the next one is, have I given up on trying to figure it out on my own? So this is a sneaky one. So lots of people will think like, oh no, I'm still figuring it out. And that's actually when we are still identifying with the body and we're thinking that we're the ones that has to make this happen, which means that we're not really connecting with the truth of who we are, that this is already happening for us. So we want to look at, do we feel like we're responsible for making this happen? Like we have to be the one to take these steps and do these different things? Or are we believing that, oh, of course, this is my natural state of being. I'm just going to follow the intuitive guidance. There's a perfect plan for me. Everything's unfolding perfectly. So we really want to tune into what energy we're believing. Okay, so no, I haven't given up. That's perfect. So we're just recognizing like, okay, I'm still trying to make it happen myself, which is the body identity. I am still identified with my body. I'm still believing that I'm a body and that I am meant to do this all on my own. The last question that we just asked is, have I given up trying to figure it out on my own? Somebody just asked. Yep. So somebody's saying like, I still have to have a little bit control over the situation. So yeah. So whenever we're believing that we have to be the ones in charge, in control of it, then we are still identified with the body, right? This reminds me of what happened with the recording on Friday, right? Where it didn't record. So to me, that was just a beautiful miracle. And if we were trusting ourselves, like that we have to make everything happen, we have to make sure that the record button gets played, then we would miss out on some of the miracles that can come when we just go with the flow, trust that everything's perfect, it's unfolding for us. And when we're in that energy, we just get more and more of those blessings. Yeah, I'm a control freak. I see somebody in the comments. I totally get it. Yep, I was a control freak too. It sometimes pops up and I have to remind myself, I am not in control. These are not my decisions to make. So perfect. You guys are doing awesome. Or you allow others to control you. Yep, that can be another one. So transitioning out of allowing others to control you and really tuning in to your higher power and following that guidance. So that's in kind of like a doorway that's opening for you to recognize this area in our lives that can be healed. Expecting outcomes. Yep. We're going to talk about that next, actually. So that's perfect lead in. Somebody said expecting outcomes. So the next question is, can I be happy without having this? So we want to recognize where we are attached to this as us needing this in order to be happy. And whenever we are needing something in order to be happy, we're not living in the truth of who we are.
This is actually one of my favorite questions in this entire formula. Can I be happy without having this? So this was a turning point for me in my own healing, because I had been trying for years, trying to heal the body, trying to heal the mind, to heal the body, trying to make the symptoms going away. I did every diet, you name it, I did it. And that was a turning point. Like, can I be happy without healing, physical healing, can I be happy just if the symptoms always can carry on? And I realized, yes, actually, I'm not powerless. I'm not weak. And that was, to me, that was my healing. When it's like exactly like you said in the initial thing I read from you, is when you realize you had been identified as a sick person. And for me, that was my healing. It happened like that because I realized I'm done being a sick person. I'm done. I'm done being a complainer. I'm done being a victim. I'm done feeling sorry for myself. I'm done with acting weak and powerless. I'm not weak and powerless. Like and I realize even if I go blind, even if I'm never able to talk, even if like that's the worst things that can happen to me around it, I can still express myself. I could write. I could still be happy. So this to me is a key question. Can I be happy without money? Can I be happy without a partner? Can I be happy with credit card debt? Can I be happy? Like this is where like the rubber hits the road really, because this is where you see you're not powerless.
Yeah. And I see some people saying, how can I be happy without having the peace of God or knowing my true identity? And it's like oftentimes our need for what we want is actually what's blocking what we want from happening. So when we can release that attachment, it totally transforms everything. Last week, I was working with my coach because the most transformational thing that I've ever done in my life is work with somebody one-on-one on seeing these resistances. And that's after I had massive transformation, that's when I made the decision. I'm like, I'm going to help other people with this. I love this so much. I'm so passionate about it. I'm going to help other people. And so I still go to a coach. It's one of the gifts I give myself every week. And so I was talking with my coach about it, and we recognized that I needed to do some releasing work around my attachment to my purpose and my attachment to knowing the peace of God, because that was actually blocking the peace of God. So we did some work and we processed through me actually choosing peace, even if I never found the peace of God, or even if I never fully flourished in my career to like the maximum capacity for me, right? So it's often those things that we want really bad that are holding us stuck, right? So we really want to release our attachment to them, and that actually helps them to come in.
Yeah, that is so great. And, you know, I like when somebody has a goal like that, the peace of God, that's a true want. That's a true desire. And so that one is a given, actually. When the resistances are gone, that is what you will discover. Like that joy and the peace and the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's just there. It's not being blocked anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you guys are doing great. So people are asking like, okay, well, if I need support with this, how do I find a good coach, or how do I find, somebody to help? What I always recommend people to do is to set that intention with them themselves. What often happens when we start asking these questions is that things will start to get stirred up. We'll start to, recognize like, oh my gosh, no wonder this isn't working on my own. I've got these things and I don't know how to do this. And sometimes we'll be guided to pray about it. Sometimes we'll be guided to, the holy instant, and healing will happen. We may just make a decision. We look at these things and we're like, I will not be that person anymore. And Lisa has some great exercises, in the 40-day program. If you're not familiar with that, you can find that on the Teachers of God Foundation website. There's some great resources where you actually go through the process of identifying with your true self and committing to that wholeheartedly. But if something like that, if you're still struggling with that and you're needing more support or help, or you feel called to that, I find the best decision to make is to just set that intention and let Source know, hey, I'm ready. I'm available. Show me, like guide me, help me here. And you will be guided to the right person for you. It may be somebody that you hear through the Teachers of God Foundation. It may be me. It may be somebody in your neighborhood. You have no idea, but you're going to be guided to the right person for you.
Yeah, I love that answer, Christina. And I agree. Like I also hire coaches and mentors all the time. Like I constantly want support. And so I pay for it. And, the support I get, my coaches are more in the realm of writing and marketing and mindset. And, just that's what it is for me. But, there's so many just different teachers that you can see online, and in the presenter series you actually get all the past recordings, and almost everyone who's in there has some kind of a program. So that's what I do. I go on a hunt. If I see somebody on Facebook that I really resonate with, I'm like, oh my God, I want to work with them. I go find them. Like I just am like, all right, I'm like beelining over to their website and seeing if they have any services or programs or something. And so that's where like each one of us that wants to work with another, has to do the work. And that's what I suggest. And to me, the community in Evolve is just a great place. Like if you like this kind of community and this kind of energy, and it's so inexpensive. It's like if you get everything, it's $29 a month for Evolve, the presenter series, all the past episodes, everything. So that would be my suggestion. So thank you so much. I think you might have missed a question on here. Did you say the one, why am I not good enough, worthy of having this?
Oh, I did miss that. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, let's go to that one. So why am I not good enough or worthy of having this? So what are the beliefs that are holding you stuck by believing that you're not good enough? Maybe that's you think that you have to be a certain weight, or you think that you have to, I am good enough. So there are people that are connecting with this. Okay. Yeah. So why are you not good enough? What's that little voice in your head telling you? Maybe I'm not smart enough. I don't have enough experience. I've never done it before. There's something wrong with me.
See, the reason I like this kind of work and this alignment formula so much is that it's very practical. And often in spiritual community or people who are on a spiritual path, we think we're not supposed to go to these places. We think, oh, the past is over. It doesn't exist. I'm not a body. And it's like, you have to actually look at what the mind is doing. And so often, like, it will take you back to like, oh yes, I have all of these beliefs about myself that I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, I'm not good enough. There's so many other people who have done what I want to do and way better, and they have the money, and I have no support, and I'm alone. And it's like to be able to see it, to just say, oh yes, I could never do that. I don't know how. I don't have the education. I'm too old. And so that's the kind of honesty that's required. And the question is so simple. Why am I not good enough, worthy of having this? Like in A Course in Miracles, there's a section, I think it's in like chapter 1 or 2, where Jesus says that you do not value yourself, and that's why you're sick. But my value of you, so my Jesus is our one self. That's our true being. That's what Jesus is. It's like that's that voice in us that's saying, I need you. I love you. You're worthy. So he says, my value of you will heal you. And so often we do need support from others to say, hey, you got this. And that's all that I ever want to do, is to like uplift people and say, hey, give it a try. Who cares if you fail?
Yeah.
Let's be children. Let's be children playing a happy game of of like trying out these creative things we want to do.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you talk about joining, because that's really when healing really takes a hold for me, is when we step out of that isolation and we join with others. And the Course in Miracles talks about that too, with, when you're on this journey, you'll be surrounded by your mighty companions. And I think that's what you and Bill and the whole Teachers of God Foundation do so beautifully with your different programs, is you really create that environment to have those mighty companions to work through these things together. So awesome. Yeah, so I'm aware of the time. So if you didn't get to finish all of this, go ahead and leave some space. And then we're going to go on to the next question, which is, why am I not ready for this? So why are you not ready for what you're wanting? So sometimes with this question, it may give us an indication of some next steps for us to take. And it also may tell us how we're telling ourselves a story. So sometimes I'm going to use coaching as another example, because I work with a lot of coaches. And as a coach myself, a lot of times we'll think like, okay, well, I'm not ready for this because I don't have enough or like a big enough following, or I haven't healed myself yet, or I'm still working through things, so I'm not ready yet. So those are often, or almost always, not true. That if you've worked through something, you're feeling that call to help other people, you are ready. There is always something that you can do to support other people. But it also may be an indicator that like maybe you still are in this chapter in your life. I've worked with people too that are still in that healing chapter for themselves, where they're learning to receive, where they're learning to let in support, and they're in that chapter of their life where that's what's perfect for them. And then later on, they will step into that in a different way. But we really want to look at this, and then we want to use our own connection to source, our intuition, to tune into, is this real for me or not? Or is this coming from source, or is this coming from my ego? Right? So why am I not ready for this?
I am so ready. Who's ready?
Right. Awesome. You guys are doing great. So yes, I am ready. All capitals. I love that. I'm ready. Yes. Awesome.
And I think like on this one too, like, why am I not ready for this? I'll just tell again from my perspective, you're never ready. I'm never, ever, never ready. Never. But I show up.
Yeah.
Like that was where it was a decision for aliveness and authenticity. I wasn't ready for this call. I'm never ready. But I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I'm ready enough.
Yes.
And so you start where you are, and then you learn as you go. You're just like, all right, I'm not, because that's where like one of the major resistances is trying to wait till you're perfect. You're never gonna live.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
So
Ready enough.
I want to make sure that we finish this. So the next one is E, which is for emotion and energy.
Yeah, so what we want to do then is hopefully a lot of you will have a whole big list of things right here on one side that is your resistance, right? So what we're going to want to do is it's almost like we're going to take our ego to court, right? There's been this little voice in our head that's been telling us that we're not good enough, we're not ready, we have to do it on our own, all of these lies, right? And so we're starting to recognize that, like, okay, here's this resistance, this block from to the truth of who I am that I've been believing. That's okay. I want to be really gentle with ourselves. Let me just go on a tangent on that for just a moment. Is that when we start to recognize these things, we want to be extra loving and compassionate with ourselves. We do not want to use this exercise as an opportunity to judge ourselves more, to feel more guilty about it. We want to use this from a perspective of, oh, this is helpful information. We're just gathering helpful information about what was already there. We don't want to add on any more additional judgment or guilt. We want to, forgive ourselves. We didn't know better. We were just doing the best that we could. And this is what we came up with, and that's okay. And now we're at this point where we're recognizing it and we're ready to choose again, right? We're ready to choose differently. So what we want to do is we're going to imagine that we're kind of like taking our ego to court and we're going to take all these different beliefs and we're going to neutralize them and prove them wrong. So when you go through the neutralizing process of dropping this resistance, there's going to be a knowingness in you if it's actually worked, right? You'll know, like, oh, okay, yeah, I can drop that belief. I don't believe that anymore. I understand the truth of who I am. That's not an issue. And sometimes just by looking at what it is and then knowing the truth will just make it disappear. Other times we may need to look at it a little bit deeper. So what we want to start to do is looking at what the truth is in these areas. And we're not going to get a chance to finish this all today, but this can be kind of like an exercise that you can do on your own, or if you have a coach or somebody else supporting you, you can do them with each other or with friends, is looking at what's the actual truth. So if we're, for example, if we're believing I have to do this on my own, you can actually even go into A Course in Miracles, if you're familiar, and you can find the lesson where it says that, I trust and abide in the strength of God, right? And that it's not all up to me. And then we can feel that relief, like, oh, okay, every time I think about that, I can go back to the truth that I'm the light of the world, I'm entitled to miracles, right? So we want to start going through that process. And what we do on this side is really the positive emotion or energy. So that's how we're going to drop all of this, and then we're going to lift up the positive emotion and energy. And so we want to start to get in touch with the very first question is, what would it feel like to have or be this? So we really want to get in touch with, what would it be like if I had this, if I was this person? Who would that person be?
Yeah, I love this question. What would it feel like to have this? And again, this is where a bunch of different answers can come up. Like for me, one of the first ones was it would be scary, like it would feel scary. But then it was like, no, that would feel amazing, like to be in joy and to have money and to be free and to be doing work that I love and to be expressive. And that would feel amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to keep mindful of the time too. We're running a little short, so I want to make sure we get these other two questions in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next one is, what would I need to remember? So what would I need to remember in order to align with this? So maybe it's that you keep forgetting that you're not in charge, right? And that you're supposed to take care of other people. So really, it might be a matter of writing down some notes for yourself to help you remember that and to stay in the truth. So really tuning in, what would I need to remember? And then I'm just going to go to the last one. So how can I practice remembering or embodying this? So what can you do to practice remembering this? So it might be that you join the presenter series or evolve. It might be that you do the 40-day program or Lisa's Healing Cure or something that somebody else offers. Maybe it's implementing a morning routine and meditating every morning, connecting with Source. So what is it that would really help you to remember this and integrate the truth of who you are? Maybe it's doing the lessons every day for a few years. Maybe it's different for everyone, but we really want to tune in and see, okay, what feels right for me? What am I being called to do? in order to remember the truth of who I am. And I know at different parts of my journey, I've been guided to different things. Sometimes I'm guided to one teacher, you know, the next year I'm in love with a different teacher. As we continue to evolve and grow, we're going to be guided to different things. So we really want to tune into what's right for you right now and what will help you remember and embody this. Is it a regular meditation? Is it a morning routine? Or getting coaching or support? What's right for you right now?
Yeah, this one's an important one, and this one to me is a fun one. And I've always connected. I don't have a Bible background, but I started reading the Bible when I was about 32, 33. And I always loved Jesus. Like, Jesus never healed people in the sense of like process. If you look back on the Bible stories, he said, get up. He's just like the self that we are is just like, get over yourself. Stop being a victim. Stop with the story. Stop with complaining. Stop playing small. Get up. Pick up your bed and walk. And so to me, this one is where, you know, I had to really go to the quote unquote future. What would I be doing and feeling if healing totally took place? And I began to live that way from the place that I was in. So and it became a happy game I started playing. I'm like, all right, I don't have any money still. I still have tons of symptoms, but this is what I would be doing. I would be doing calls like this. I would be hiring coaches. I would be taking these classes because I was waiting to die. That's what I was doing. I was just like, oh, it's any day now. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to die. I'm going to live now. And so that's where it's like you step in before the results are there and you don't care about the results.
Yeah, I love that. Just doing it, right? Like really just embodying it and doing it.
Well, I wanted to just, I wanted to just, well, see, Monica Caradori, I want you to look at that one. I can't walk. Do you want to walk? Like that's where like you look at and go through this process. So you say, I want to walk. Okay, why do I not want this? And then you take yourself through, why is it not safe to walk? And then just say, and then again, my favorite question, can I be happy without walking? So that's why I love this process so much, because it's really like, oh my God, I can be the light of the world even if I never walk again. Like to see like, oh my God, I'm not weak and powerless. There's nothing stopping me from being the generous, creative, powerful love that I am. But Monica, I know you personally, and you are the light of the world. And so, and that's where like, I love the activation of these ideas. So I just want to thank you all for being here. This is a recording, so we will send it out. It will also be on Facebook. If anybody would like to check out the presenter series, TGF TV is on every Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. This coming Friday is Kelly Russell with Monica Dubé. They're going to be talking about money and stepping into your true abundance. And then Irene Tompkinson is on the third Friday of every month on addiction, and Bill Free is non-duality. So would you like to share any final thing?
Thank you all so much for being here. You are the light of the world and you can heal anything. And I believe in you and you can do this. And I'm here if you need any guidance or support.
I love that. And you can heal anything. Like this is the moment to begin to identify with your true self.
Yeah. And actually the secret is that you're already healed. You are already perfect, whole, and complete already.
So true. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for listening. And thank you all of you guys on Facebook Live. I love you.